Holy hell, did I get that wrong? Yeah, look at all that red. That red is every single... Give me a second. Crap. That red is every single bad prediction I made. Wow. Yeah, I suck at this. I just want to point out that I got 2 of the plate races right and none of the downforce races. Like, that's just bad. And I mean, I went a little bit out on a limb with some of them, like the Alex Bowman pick, that was out on a limb. The Chase Elliott picks, most of those were out on a limb. And the Daniel Suarez pick was definitely out on a limb. But, like, some of the other ones, Kevin Harvick, like, seriously, that one was wrong? Like, yeah, Kevin Harvick only has, like, 2 wins at Atlanta, but still. Alright, moving on, let's go to the standings now. And, yeah, this might be even worse. I didn't even bother with doing this because I was just like, because that would just be too much red on one page. I would go into full on Okay, so big thing 1, Chip Ganassi, I got so wrong. I dramatically underestimated Kurt Busch, and I dramatically overestimated Kyle Larson. Like, look at that difference. Like, I didn't even have Kurt Busch in my initial top 20, and he's 8th in points. I didn't have Kyle Larson in my top... I have Kyle Larson as my points leader this far into the season. He's 15th. That's just bad. And other than that, I got Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick right. I don't know how, but I did. Brad Keselowski's a little higher than I thought he'd be. Chase Elliott's a little higher than I thought he'd be. Denny Hamlin's way higher than I thought he'd be. Truex is a little lower, but he has more wins, so take that for whatever. Kurt Busch, obviously in 8th. And then Clint Bowyer in 9th. I had him a little lower than that. Blaney 10th. I had him a little higher than that. Eric Almirola, I had him completely out of the playoffs because I predicted that Ford would slump to open the year, and that is not the case. I mean, they haven't dominated by any stretch of the imagination, but they haven't been slumping either, other than Stewart Haas. Stewart Haas just doesn't... They don't look bad, but they don't look good. They don't. I hope Kevin Harvick can win at some point because they got to turn it around for me to see any of them as actually a legitimate title-threatening organization. And then Alex Bowman, about where I thought he'd be, a little lower. Daniel Suarez, a little bit higher, but I also thought he'd have a win by now. So I don't know. I think that's about the same as how well I had him running. Eric Jones, I dramatically overestimated. He's only 14th. Although it's not him, it's also the pit box, although he didn't really have a particularly good Kansas race. Actually, what am I talking about? Yeah, he did. He finished 3rd. Idiot. Obviously, Kyle Larson, I just talked about him. Jimmy Johnson, I overestimated. I thought he'd be 8th with a win by now, and he's 16th. With no wins, and he's barely ahead of Ryan Newman, who's a little lower than I had him. So, take that how you will. Stenhouse, lower than I had him. Stenhouse looked really good to start the year. And then he just faded. He looked awful the last few races. Although he looked good at Kansas, so maybe he's on the way back. Austin Dillon, higher than I had him. I had Dillon just being absolutely awful this year, and that's not the case, really. I mean, it still doesn't look like he's going to make the playoffs, and I don't think he will. My opinion hasn't changed on that, but he's not looking as bad as I thought. William Byron, I had him doing quite a bit better than this, but it's still improvement. Chad Knaus is clearly making a difference to William Byron. He or may not have a chance at a win this year. Because it's like, I thought he'd get, the way he'd improve is he'd get more consistent. He'd start running top 15 every week. He'd run 10th to 15th about every week. He'd never really compete for a win. But he'd get top 15s every week. But what's happened is that he's got the same inconsistency, just faster. So now he'll have races where that are absolute clunkers. He looks awful in them. Like Talladega was a total clunker for Byron. He didn't really look that good, and he crashed at the end of it. But then you get races like Dover, where he runs really well. It's probably a top 5 car, and he finishes 8th. Or Kansas, and then you also get races like Kansas, where he should have been competing for the win, but ended up finishing 20th. Just shit like that. And then last one, Paul Menard. I thought Paul Menard was going to be a joke this year, and I was kind of right on that. He hasn't really done much, but yeah. Okay, so moving on to my predictions. This will be race wins for the remainder of the season. So like my first predictions video, but for the rest of the season. All-Star race. If I can get there. There it is. Joey Logano. Joey Logano wins the All-Star race. He won it in 2016. He's the points leader. I mean, yeah, there's not much I could say. I will say this. Bowman is going to be a hell of an opponent. I think the 88 and the 22 are going to be the 2 best cars in the All-Star race. And Logano will come out on top, because of course he will. Moving on to Coke 600. Kurt Busch. I got him winning that Coke 600. I had him winning. In my initial predictions list, I had Kurt winning both the All-Star race and the Coke 600. I don't think he can win both now, but I do still believe in the one car for the Coke 600. Especially since he's running like 50,000 times better than I thought he would. I thought he'd be like 21st in the standings through the first 12 races, and he's 8th. This guy is ridiculous. This guy is just good. He's just good. There's just nothing else to it. I'll throw in a bonus prediction for the Coke 600. Alex Bowman will finish second again. He'll lead 125 laps, which is it's not going to be the most, but it's going to be a lot of laps. It's 125, and he'll finish second to Kurt Busch. And I think he'll win. You know what? If I'm going to do that, I'll make this prediction. He wins stage 3. Bowman is going to finish second again, but he's going to finally win something, and that something is stage 3. Moving on. What race is this now? Pocono. Yep, Brad Keselowski. I mean, how else do you pick right now, other than one of the guys with the most wins in NASCAR? Keselowski went through a little bit of a funk after Martinsville. He righted the ship at Kansas. I think he's going to keep riding this. He's going to get the Pocono win. Yeah. Moving on. Michigan, Martin Truex. Truex and Larson are generally the 2 best cars at Michigan. And yeah, Larson hasn't been doing well in a while. He's starting to get the hang of this package now. So I could see Larson winning Michigan. But I still think it's going to be Truex, because Truex has a better handle on it. He already has 2 wins this year. In my initial predictions, I had him winning once in the first 12 races, and he's already won twice. Yeah, I got a lot wrong. I thought Denny Hamlin was going to win 1 race in the whole regular season. It would be the last race of the regular season at Indianapolis, and he's got the Daytona 500 and Texas already. All right, moving on. Sonoma, Kyle Busch. How do you pick anyone else other than the most dominant driver in NASCAR right now, who happens to be pretty damn good at road courses? He's pretty darn good. Yeah, that's Kyle Busch. I think that's a halfway decent pick. Chicagoland, Joey Logano. Again, I don't think anyone's surprised by this. What's crazy to me is that Logano hasn't really won at Chicagoland, or has he? I don't think he has. No, he hasn't. And as it plays like Kansas, which is a track he has won at, and he's good at Kansas. He's good at Chicagoland too, for the most part. So yeah, Logano breaks through at Chicagoland. Daytona 2, Eric Almirola getting the first win for Stewart-Haas Racing. Because Almirola is the best plate racer at Haas. And I don't think it's possible for Haas to go the whole regular season without getting a win. I don't think that's possible. I mean, they're just too good an organization. That team got wins from every single car last year. They got a total of 12 wins. They won a third of the races last year. Like, come on. We're talking about ridiculous levels of dominance. Now, I mean, let's be real here. Your 8 of those wins came from one driver. But still, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that this team that won a third of the races last year doesn't have a win in the first third this year. They got some serious catching up to do if they want to match what they did last year. And they just took a step back. But Almirola, I think he'll win Daytona 2. Daytona 2 is going to be an absolute crapshoot. This is going to be, I think, the best race at Daytona since the 2007 Daytona 500. It's going to be ridiculous. And you probably won't know until turn 4 of the last lap who's going to win this race. Hell, you might not even know until they actually cross the finish line who won the race. Ridiculous. Kentucky, Brad Keselowski. There's 3 guys you can pick at Kentucky: Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, Brad Keselowski. I'm going with Keselowski. New Hampshire, Clint Boyer. He's won there before. Yeah, on fuel mileage. But still, Haas can't go the whole season without winning. I have Almirola winning Daytona. I have Boyer winning New Hampshire. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this one. New Hampshire's going to be meh as usual, and Boyer's going to win. Pocono 2. Finally, Alex Bowman will finally break through and out finish second again and again and again and again. You know, imagine if he finishes second all the way through all of those races that I just mentioned. He's the guy that's finishing second. Oh my God. The Bowman fans will all be just ripping our hair out, just going, what does this guy need to do to get the freaking win? Like seriously, this guy just can't even with this guy. But yeah, Pocono 2. This is where Bowman got his best finish of last year. He finished 3rd in this race last year. So 2019 overall has been a better year for Bowman so far. Yeah, I know he only just got good, but he's getting really good. He's already led more laps. He's better this year. His average finish is up. His average starting position is up. Basically, every relevant stat except top 10s is up. So, Bowman for Pocono 2. He'll get that win. Watkins Glen, Kyle Larson I have breaking through. Larson was really good here in his rookie year, 2014. Larson's a really good road course racer. And road course races are talent tracks. And 2019 package or no 2019 package, talent is going to matter a crap ton at the road courses. So it's the Kyle and Kyle show in the regular season road courses. Busch at Sonoma, Larson at Watkins Glen. Michigan 2, Brad Keselowski. The reason I don't have either Truex or Larson here is because I don't think what JGR has right now is sustainable. They have 2 dominant cars. Like, I don't see how they can keep finding the money to constantly put the 2 fastest cars on the track every weekend. And it showed it, and I think that showed at Kansas. where Truex, who's normally outstanding at Kansas, he ran 20th. Like, even in 2014, one of his worst seasons ever, he ran great at Kansas. But he has 2 wins this year and ran 20th at Kansas. I think that's what's wrong with... That's a problem with JGR. That's that they don't... The kind of dominance they have, I don't think is sustainable. Well, unless Bass Pro Shops is giving them some ridiculous shit ton amount of money that Daniel Suarez wasn't giving them. And Kyle Larson, he's not going to do well at tracks where this package plays a huge role. And Michigan's going to be it's going to be mini Talladega. It's going to be basically what the 2019, it's going to be like the pinnacle of the 2019 package. It's where Brad Keselowski shines. Bristol 2, Ryan Blaney. Initially, I had Matt DiBenedetto here. Matt DiBenedetto has disappointed. He looks like garbage. Actually, he ran great at the Daytona 500, and I felt vindicated in my Bristol pick, and then he stunk the rest of the year. He's just looked bad. Just no. But Ryan Blaney for Bristol 2, because he needs a crap ton of laps here every year. It's about... At some point, he's going to break through and lead that important last one. Just hope it's before he ends up losing his ride at Penske, because y'all saw that Kansas race? Blaney was bad. He was bad. That was an ugly race for Blaney. Darlington, Kurt Busch. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. I don't even think Kurt runs particularly well at Darlington. I mean, he did have that big 2003 finish, but I don't think he's run particularly well there since. I don't know. I just have a feeling. Kurt Busch and Darlington. It just feels like it's gonna make. It just feels right. It feels like it's going to work. See if I'm right. Probably not. And then Indy, Denny Hamlin. This is the race. I had Denny Hamlin initially winning one race. This is it. He has pretty much every other crown jewel. I mean, Denny Hamlin, he's kind of a big game hunter. He's become kind of a big game hunter recently. He wins a lot of the big He wins a lot of the big races. He's just like big. He seems to hit a lot of big milestones. And there's few milestones bigger than winning the Brickyard 400. So, there you go. Now your chase grid. What it will look like. Brad Keselowski at the top with 6 wins. Kyle Busch in second with 4 wins. Martin Truex Jr. has 3 wins. Denny Hamlin has 3 wins. Joey Logano has 2 wins. Kurt Busch 2 wins. And then Chase Elliott, Blaney, Larson, Boyer, Bowman, Almirola all with 1. And then Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez, Jimmy Johnson, and Eric Jones get in on points. I mean, Kevin Harvick is kind of a shoo-in to get in on points at this point already. He's third in points. It wouldn't shock me at all if he won. If I was totally wrong about him going winless in the regular season and he wins. And don't worry. I don't have him going winless the whole season. So for you Kevin Harvick fans, don't think I'm just hating on him. He's gonna do fine. But anyway, yeah. Eric Jones, I have just barely sneaking in over Ryan Newman and Ricky Stenhouse. Jimmy Johnson, I think he's been ridiculously inconsistent this year. But give him credit, he's getting back towards the top 10 rates of his championship years. I think he's on pace for 18 top 10s this year, I think. So I think he's going to be fine. If he's on pace for 18 top 10s, he definitely should be way higher than 15th in points. I still think he'll end the season 8th in points. Because I think he'll stay on that 18 top 10 pace and the finishes around those will pick up. So he won't be so inconsistent, and he'll be 18. He'll be the 8th in points. And I don't think, again, with the JGR thing, again, I don't think it's sustainable for that team to have 2 outstanding cars every week. 2 dominant cars every week, and I think it's showing at the 2 most recent tracks, Dover and Kansas. Dover, Kyle Busch didn't run that well. He had to fight for a top 10. This was Kyle Busch who was killing the circuit. And then Kansas, neither of them runs well. Kyle Busch just runs into problem after problem, and Truex runs 20th. And then Denny Hamlin was just awful at Dover, and slightly less so at Kansas. So yeah, I think Gibbs is going to have a little bit of a rough summer, because I don't think that this kind of operation is sustainable. Like, we see these kinds of dominant seasons from these teams. It's so rare to put together these kinds of dominant seasons that some teams are capable of putting together. Like Hendrick Motorsports 2014, that was an anomaly. That's not going to happen to them for a while. Stuart Haas last year, we're already seeing it. They can't replicate that. But possibly because it was pretty top heavy, but still. But yeah, I think what do I think I need to explain here? What do I think I need to explain other than I think Gibbs will slump in the summer? And by the way, when I say slump, obviously I still have Kyle Busch, Truex, and Hamlin winning. So winning at some point in the remaining regular season. So it's not like they're gonna fall off the map. I just don't think that Gibbs is going to be ridiculously good like they have been. Like, they've already got 7 wins so far this year. No, I don't think they're capable of continuing, especially a pace like that. That pace is ridiculous. So Keselowski 6 wins. We've seen that out of him. Not entirely in the regular season, but we've seen a 6-win season from Keselowski. I don't think that's too ridiculous. He's capable of winning at all the tracks that I have him winning at. So I think it's perfectly plausible for Keselowski to separate himself from the rest of the field. Logano there with 2 wins. I've not had a lot of faith in the 22 team. I think that their championship run last year was somewhat miraculous, and I thought that they were going to not do as well this year, which is obviously not the case. They're the points leaders, but they haven't really they've shown. This is kind of more like a Kevin Harvick 2015. Not really. It's kind of like Dale Jr. 2014, where they've been really good, but never really haven't really had too much race winning speed. They're always so close, except at Kansas, where he just runs 15th out of nowhere. Kurt Busch winning 2 races. Again, that's just a gut feeling that I think Kurt Busch right now is running too well to just stay winless. I mean, we've seen seasons like this that end up winless, but they're few and far between. Like Matt Kenseth 2014, Dale Jr. 2013, and try to think of another one that's going the way Kurt's is going that ended up winless. I think Kurt's gonna make it. Chase Elliott, I don't have him winning again. Talladega is his only regular season win that I have. Chase, I don't think is going to win. I don't think Chase is going to win another race in the regular season this year. Okay? Because he just, again, just same thing with Logano, just not enough race-winning speed. Ryan, and the reason I have Ryan Blaney also is because he showed race-winning speed. He led like 200 laps at Bristol. He kills Bristol every time he shows up. Like, he's gonna win there at some point. Kyle Larson, I have winning. Too talented, I think, to continue losing. Clint Boyer, I have with a win again. Stuart Haas, I don't think is this bad. This is bad, and they're not bad, but the fact that they haven't won I think, is alarming. Kansas was the big test. That's a track that most of the Stuart Haas cars are really, really good at. Like the 10 team ran great there with Danica Patrick, and Eric Almirola was pretty good there last year. Kevin Harvick won the first Atlanta race last year. Daniel Suarez, the 41 team was pretty good with Kurt Busch. Clint Boyer is the mad one in Kansas, and Boyer finished top 5. The rest of them were back end of the top 20. That's just ring the alarm bell, Stuart Haas. Get a sense of urgency. Like, you're falling behind. It's clear from Kansas. You're falling behind. All right, I'm gonna stop there. Yeah, I got nothing else to say about this. If you have a question about anything that I just said, if you think I screwed something up, just comment below. I'm gonna be reading these comments to see what people have to say about this. So, yep. This is Inferno Zach, and I will see you guys later. Like and subscribe.